Welcome back to part two. So in part one, we talked about the browsing process, and maybe you are going through a similar stage at the moment. You know that it's time for an upgrade. You know that it's time to shake things up a little bit, but maybe you're not quite sure what you want or what direction to go in or this kind of support that you need. And you're just sort of browsing, but you do have that underlying feeling of, I think it might be time to make some moves. So if you want to have a chat, if you want to talk further about how I can support you, just send me a message on my website and we can do that. So I had come to some conclusions about what I wanted and what I was being drawn to. And for me, having been in this industry for so long and having invested in myself for 25 years, a long time, I've always thought about things. I've always understood that I couldn't do it all by myself, and that actually working with people would always draw out brilliant things. I mean, when I went to drama school, it was really important the kind of place that I went to, because I wanted people who were at the top of their game, who were going to come in and show me things and shortcut things. And I've always done that in my personal brand. I've signed up for courses. I've worked with some of the best coaches. I've hired amazing photographers and videographers and website people and all of these things. And so I got to the stage where I had to stop being in research mode. And this is a really key part. I think we can keep going down that rabbit hole of I'm just going to keep looking and seeing what's out there, and I can't make up my mind, and we'll just see. And I got to that point where I was like, it's time. It's time for some decision making. So I booked in some discovery calls with some programs, with some coaches that I knew were really going to help me. And I did it. And I did what was required, and I filled out the form, and I was very honest, and I sent it off. And that felt really vulnerable. That felt like a huge, like a 0 to 5 of the process of going, whew, right. So it turns out I'm quite serious about this, and I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. I'm going to be open to the next step. And sometimes, I've equally done this as well, where I filled out an application form and then I've never heard from the coach and they've never followed up, and that's been fine. I mean, it's, maybe I didn't fit the brief or whatever. But I got a few people coming back and saying, yep, let's set this up. So that was the first thing I did. I booked in the discovery calls and I really carved out that time. And I approached that free session with the intention, almost like I was paying for it. So I got childcare. I asked my mum to come and sit with Luna. I made sure it was on a nursery day. I did it at a time of day where I knew that I had the brain space to be able to do that. And I think when we think about free things, we're like, yeah, sure, that sounds all right. But I knew that my attitude and my approach had to be right. And I'm always seeking that in clients who want to come and work with me. If somebody's just rolled out of bed and they're like, oh, hi, yeah. So what is this thing you're doing? I'm like, no, that's the wrong energy for me. I want somebody who's going to be like, let's go. And so I wanted to show these people that I was in that imperfect place, very much so, of yes, I'm tired, but I'm ready. So the first thing the second thing. So number one, book the discovery call. The second thing that I had to be very clear about was I had to be clear about what I wanted from the relationship. So I had to be very clear about the solutions and the transformations that I was looking for. And I think sometimes in business coaching or life coaching or working with a mentor, everything feels a bit woolly because you might be approaching it from that place of like, I don't know what I want, but I don't want this. So for me, I made sure that I did that work and I had that checklist to refer back to, because I also know what it's like when somebody's really compelling on a call, or they are planting the seeds of something, and you're just kind of being led along with it, going, oh yeah, that would sound really great. But actually what I had to keep doing was being focused and saying, because sometimes I'm like, I really like this person, they're great, I totally get what they're doing, but it's just not quite the right fit in terms of the format. So I had to keep coming back to making sure that what this person was offering was going to match the solution I was seeking. And that's why I always have discovery calls with people, because sometimes people come to me and they say, I think I want this, and maybe I need 6 months. And then sometimes I'll say, we can do this work in a month. It will be much quicker than you maybe think it is. Equally, I've had it the opposite way around. And what happened in this call was that I thought that I was going to purchase one thing, which was £2,000. And I was going to do that on a payment plan as well. I'm going to say that as well. I thought I was going to purchase the £2,000. And what I actually ended up purchasing was something that was £9,000, because the thing that was £2,000 actually wasn't going to fulfill the solutions, the transformations that I needed. I also did the 9,000 thing on a payment plan as well. So I just wanted to share that process too, because equally that coach ended up increasing that by 7,000 that I was not expecting, but it was absolutely the right fit. Number 3, I had to be really clear on the format. So I think so many coaches or mentors, like, they offer all these bonuses and an in-person event, and can you come here, and you've got to be on 4 calls a week. And I needed some flexibility within that format. I needed some online stuff. I needed some implementation time, because I did have, a very young baby. I actually didn't want to do loads of things in person. I wanted to do most of it online. And again, it's really important, because how many times can I say that? These bonuses might be fed to you and you're like, oh, wow, that would be so amazing. But if you can't fulfill it, or if it's not quite right for your personality or your business, essentially it's a wasted opportunity. So I had to be really clear that the format was right. Number 4, I was less than 6 months postpartum. And so for me, the person and the vibe had to be right. I was even though I was clear, even though I was connected, I was still vulnerable, hormonal. And certainly as we went into March 2020, so much of our work was lost. We had so many other concerns of various things going on. And I needed to feel that I was in a safe spot with somebody. That kind of tough love wouldn't have been right for me. And so when you're going through this process yourself, I want you to think about it in this way of making sure that you feel safe with people. And I know from so many of my clients, they will have this conversation with me where they're like, I feel like I've known you my whole life. Or a recent testimonial I shared, they were like, yeah, this feels like the right fit because you're exactly as you are on your videos. And that for me is always the greatest compliment, because I don't think there's any point putting out loads of content if you're pretending to be somebody else. Anyway, number 5, I had to get really clear on the money. So this £9,000 investment was £750 per month. And that was on top of everything else. Now, of course, a lot of that was a business expense. So that was something that I could consider. But I had to understand how I was going to make £750 to be able to invest. And I think I had 2 conversations, like, how was I going to make that money? What did I need to sell? And also, I wanted those £750 nuggets going in to pay me back again and again and again. So come back for part 3. I'm going to be talking through the process of what happened when I was all in. If you want to book a discovery call with me, if you want to work with me for 100 days, a strategy session, or just a month, let me know. Send me a message via my website and let's chat further. Lots of love. Bye.